These are the notes for section 8.3. And in the last couple of sections, we've learned about things like foiling and distributing things to monomials. We also learned about how to factor something, a monomial, out of a binomial, or even bigger polynomials. In this section, we're going to take the method that we learned for FOIL to put things together, and we're going to reverse it and take them apart. So this is called quadratic equations, and then we have something called x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This is the form of a quadratic formula, or quadratic equation, sorry, where a for in front of ax squared is just 1. And then we have bx, b is a number, plus c, and c is a number. Okay? We learned how to use the FOIL method, which is first, outside, inside, last, to multiply binomials. So in this case, we had x times x, which is x squared, times the outside, which is 4x, or sorry, plus the 4x, and then plus 3x plus 12. Now, if I come down here, I can use that same idea and work backwards to factor it apart. Now, this actually rewrites as x squared plus 7x plus 12. But if I come down here, I can break that 7x up back into that 4 and 3, and I know that it's the same thing as x plus 3 and x times x plus 4. But they're saying, let's see if we can find a pattern between this and this. The things that you should notice are we have a 4 and a 4, a 3 and a 3, and both 4 and 3 are factors of 12, which means 4 times 3 gives me 12. So the pattern is I take the last two numbers, multiply them, and I'm going to get c, and then they add up to make my middle number. So if I come back up here to where it's just a trinomial, they're saying, what are the factors of that last number that will add up to make my middle number? So the factors of 12 that make 7 are 4 and 3. Turn to the next page. This basically summarizes that pattern where it says x squared plus bx plus c gives me this set of binomials, and I have x in the first position for each of them, but then I have m and p, and we know that m plus p has to give me that middle number, and then m times p has to give me that last number. So if I come down here, if I have x squared plus 6x plus 8, I know it's going to be x plus 2 times x plus 4, because the factors of 8 are 1 times 8 and 2 times 4, and the only ones out of these that can add or subtract to make 6, which is the middle number, are 2 and 4. So when you're trying to do this on your homework, you're going to use this method. You're going to write out the factors of c. So that last number, like 8, write out all of the factors, the things that multiply to make that number. The second one is you're going to decide which one of them can either add up to or subtract to make b. So you're trying to make the factors of this number add or subtract to make this number. And then you're going to rewrite them as a product of binomials using these factors. We're going to use this table to make our binomials because up here we have addition and addition. So in my binomials I also have addition and addition. But that's not always true. Sometimes I have minus and addition, and then I would use minus minus in my binomials. If I have plus minus, I will have plus minus in my binomials. If I have minus minus, then I will have minus plus in my binomials. So we're going to have to keep referring to this chart when we're doing our homework, but just keep coming back to this page. If you want to put like a flag or something for it, go ahead. Turn the page. Let's try an example. First thing I have to do, the factors of 20. Okay, so I have 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 3 doesn't work, 4 times 5, and that's where I end. Now let's see if any of these can add or subtract to make 9. 1 and 20 give me either 19 or 21. Doesn't work. 2 and 10 give me 8 or 12. Doesn't work. But 4 and 5 add up to make 9. Now I have a plus plus, So if I refer back to my chart, a plus plus gives me a plus plus. So I will have a plus plus. X's go in the first positions, and then I have 4 and 5. They go in here. And that's all I have to do to factor that. So come down here, I have 12. The factors of 12 are 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. I have a minus plus, so I will have a minus minus. Now let's see if I can find any of these that will make 8. I'm trying to make 8. So this gives me either 11 or 13. This gives me 8 though. So I have x, and then 2 and 6. Now, because in both of these examples, the signs were the same, it did not matter where these were positioned. I could have had 5 here and 4 here, and then 6 here and 2 here, because these were the same. And so I'm subtracting, right? I'm trying to get a negative 8. Minus 2 minus 6 gives me minus 8. But when we start getting into one where they might be a plus minus, where they're different, you have to consider that the order will matter. We're going to see an example of that pretty soon. So I have x squared plus 2x minus 15. The factors of 15 are 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. So I'm going to have a binomial, and it's a plus minus. So when I look at my chart, a plus minus gives me a plus minus. Now this is where the signs are different and the order will matter. The x's still come first. Now I'm trying to get a positive 2. So if I add 3 and subtract 5, I get negative 2. That one won't work. But if I add 5 and subtract 3, I get a positive 2. That's why the order matters. So we can't have a 3 here because if the 5 was here, we'd get a negative 2. Okay? Let's do the next one. I have 28. The factors of 28 are 1 times 28, 2 times 14, 3 does not go into it, 4 times 7. Okay? I'm going to have 2 binomials, and it's a minus plus. A minus plus gives me a minus minus. Now I have w's this time, so I have w's that come first. Let's find what make negative 11. So if I remember that they have the same sign, so they can go either way. I know 4 and 7 make 11. Oops, that should be a 4. I'm sorry. And then a 7 here. Okay? This could be a 7 and this could be a 4. It doesn't matter because their signs are the same. Okay? Turn to the next page. I have 35. The factors of 35 are 1 times 35 and 5 times 7. I have a binomial. This is a minus minus, so if I look at my little chart, a minus minus gives me a minus plus. Now, these signs are different, so the order will matter. Put my ends there. Now, I'm trying to make negative 2. We know that this one won't work, but if I subtract 7 and then add 5 back in, I get negative 2. So minus 7 plus 5. So remember, this cannot be a 5 and this cannot be a 7 because their signs are different. Then I have 20, okay, actually in number 6 we need to take a look. I have an equal sign here, and 27's on the wrong side. I only know how to deal with them if they're all on the same side. So I'm going to first start by subtracting that 27 to get it on the correct side, and I get x squared plus 6x minus 27 equals 0. And then I can start factoring. Ignore this equals 0 part for 1 second, and then I have 27. The factors of 27 are 1 times 27, 3 times 9, and I think we can stop there because we know that 3 and 9 can make 6. So I have a plus minus, which I know gives me a plus minus. I have x's here. I want to have a positive 6, so I'm going to add the bigger one and subtract the smaller one. Then I get equals 0. Move this down here. So remember from the last section, I can take each of these and set them equal to 0 and find the possible factors. So I'm going to say x plus 9 equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0. Subtract 9, I get x equals negative 9, or add the 3, I get x equals positive 3. Okay? So this would be the factored form, and this would be the solutions. Turn to the next page. I want you to go ahead and try number 7 on your own. Pause the video and come back to it. We're going to do number 8 together. So I have 42. 1 times 42, 2 times 21, 3 times 14. 4 can't go into it. Let's see, do any of these make 17? Those do. It's a plus plus, so I'm going to have a plus plus. X's come first, and then 3 and 14. Does not matter the order because it's plus plus. Now sometimes we're going to have variables in that last term. That's okay. Because it's x or it's y squared, I just know that when I do it like this, which a minus minus gives me a minus plus. And I know my x's are going to come first, and then I have to have a y squared. I just want you to put a y in the last position for each of these, and then we're going to fill in the numbers here. Okay, so there will be coefficients for the y values. So let's just deal with that 51. I have 1 times 51, 3 times 17. Now stop there. 3 and 17 can make 14. Now I'm trying to have negative 14. So I want to subtract the bigger number because I remember I'm subtracting 1 and adding 1 back in. So I'm going to subtract 17 and add 3 back in to get that negative 14. So my factors are x minus 17y and x plus 3y. So when you see that variable at the end, so in the c term, that's okay. Just find their coefficients and leave the y's alone. That's the end of the 8-3 notes. Take a look at the homework and I'll see you tomorrow.